In today's video, we will be looking at the iONZ Pro Gamer ITX Flow PC case. We'll be taking an unboxing, an overview, and we'll have that PC build for you guys as well, so you can see what potentially your PC would look like if you chose this case. Now, this case is a bit of a first on this channel because it's one of those sort of fish tank type cases, you know, one of those different sort of cases. It's one of those like dual chamber sort of things. What I like to call the fish tank, and what most people call the fish tank nowadays. And I haven't done a fish tank case before, so this is going to be my first build with a fish tank case. So we'll see how it goes. If you obviously, most people probably do know what a fish tank sort of PC case looks like. But this is basically like a dual chamber where you have the glass at the front and also, well, the front of the case and also the side of the case. And then you have like a dual chamber effect where you have the motherboard is at the front and then the power supply goes at the back with like your drives and everything at the back as well. And instead of having that sort of like motherboard at the top with the power supply at the bottom, it's kind of like power supply behind the motherboard tray. And it's kind of like that. It's a bit more thicker and fatter than a normal case as well, so it takes up a little bit more space on your desk, and that's kind of the thing that puts me off a little bit. Now, I know obviously people do like these sort of cases now, and they're kind of on trend, but personally it's not my sort of thing because it takes up too much room on the desk. Anyway, yeah, it does seem to be very popular, these fish tank cases, and you know, now that we're kind of getting budget cases which are now we're getting budget cases which are in that sort of style, it kind of, you know, it is kind of worth it to actually do as a budget PC flipper, to actually start putting these cases in now instead of your sort of traditional cases. Because I actually only paid £40 for this, which is actually a bit of a bargain. Now, it was used on Amazon, like resale, whatever it's called, so yeah, so just take it with a pinch of salt that it isn't actually £40. It's a £55 case actually, so we'll have to bear that in mind. And obviously, because it's used, there might be one or two things which are missing, or screws missing, or what have you, accessories missing. So it might not be exactly as what you'd get if you bought this new, but it's going to give you a good idea. But I think really I've talked a bit too much again, and we need to just unbox and see the case. So, you know, we've struggled to actually get it on the desk here, so getting it out of the box will help. And so here it is, guys, and what's your first impression? So, you know, my first impressions looks pretty decent. I mean, like I say, I'm not overly keen on these fish tank cases, but I know that a lot of people do like them nowadays, so you know, we will kind of do a build in this as well, like I say, and we'll see what it's like. So if you haven't seen our usual videos for these sort of case overviews, basically I'll just sort of talk over the case of sort of like the features that it has and all the specifications and what have you, and then we'll get onto that PC build afterwards, and then we'll have a conclusion of whether this is a buy or a no buy. So yeah, basically this is micro ATX case. It's also can be a mini ITX case as well if you want it to be. So micro ATX or ITX, quite decent compatibility there in that sense. Quite long as well, quite big. We'll be able to fit a lot of very big graphics cards as well, so that's good. And it does come with those free ARGB fans as well. So let's take a bit of an overview. Now, usually I start at the front, but this is just like glass. It is glass, isn't it? Okay, I'm not sure actually if this front is actually plastic or glass. I think it is glass, but it's just maybe quite thin. But yeah, again, not really much to say at the front, unfortunately, with these cases, because you haven't got any fans. There's no fan support at the front. This is the whole kind of like you know, that sort of showcase PC sort of look. There we go. So it does have the dust filter as well. We have actually got all the screws and everything as well, it looks like, so we should be all good there. I did actually get a case off Amazon the other day which came with like no screws at all because it was a used one, but yeah. Anyway, that was a bit odd. So here is your sort of main. Well, I suppose the main fan support is on the side, but you do also have fan support at the top here. So the fan support at the top is only two 120mm fans, unfortunately. There's no official support for 140mm fans on the top, apparently. But I'll put everything below as well as we go through, just in case I do make a mistake or anything like that, guys. And like I say, it does come with this dust filter as well. So we'll just put that back there. It's a magnetic dust filter as well. So big clicky power button, and we have a USB 3 and a USB 2 port. So not great, but it's okay. I mean, two USB 3 ports would be far better, but anyway. We have a headphone and microphone jack combined or combo. So again, I don't really like these. I would prefer the two separates, but a separate mic and a separate headphone, but it is what it is. Then we have what looks like a reset button, and then we have the LED button. So that will cycle through your colors for your fans, which is your free ARGB fans, which are integrated into this. Now, in terms of the fan support, I think it does accept a 5-volt 3-pin addressable ARGB header onto your motherboard, but I think you can actually run it without a motherboard which hasn't got the ARGB header, so we should be fine. It should just be a SATA connection, and I'm assuming it's just a daisy chain SATA connection, I think. Again, at the back here, just additional ventilation, but we'll get onto the back panel in a bit. So the rear, this is again just a standard 120mm fan support here. That is actually pre-installed with an ARGB fan. We obviously have our I/O cutout here, and then we have 4 PCI slots there for your cards, for your graphics cards and what have you, Wi-Fi cards and what have you. But I think most people are just going to put graphics cards here. And then obviously you'll see that there's no power supply stroud here, with like in a normal case. The power supply will go here, and it kind of you can kind of mount it this way, and then the fan will be out this way, so it has the support here for the fan for your fan to breathe. And then you have your drives and what have you just up into there. And what you will notice that it is quite wide actually, this case, so just be aware of that. It is a lot wider than a traditional case. So let's go to the rear panel, and oh, that's nice, that's actually captive thumb screws as well at the rear, so that's nice. So as you can see, quite a lot of room for cable management here. It should be okay job here. You do have 2 cutouts at the bottom, although your power supply is going to be very close to that, so I'm a little bit concerned how you're going to get that through. But you do have another 2 cutouts here, or no, 3 cutouts here actually as well, so there's more support there. You might even have to route some of your cables through here to the bottom. That's a little bit annoying, but it should certainly be doable. Then we have this tray up here, which looks like, how much can it hold? So you've either got support for one 3.5-inch hard drive here, or you can fit up to 3 SSDs here. So I assume there's 2 there, and probably 1 inside as well. So again, pretty decent support here. I think you can actually mount them to the outside here with the drives, I think, and then just take that out. Let's just have a quick look at it actually. So here it is. Yeah, so like I say, it's just the two there for the SSDs, and I assume you just put your hard drive at the back here. So decent support. Is there any other SSD mounted? No, not really. Okay, let's look at the fans first of all. So looking at the fans, they're a little bit more different than what I thought they would have been, to be honest, but it's okay, I think. Basically, they connect up to what looks like one header for your fan header on your motherboard, so that should power them. But then on the ARGB side, it does look like you are going to need a 5-volt, a 3-pin header actually, so to actually plug in. So just be aware of that, guys. So moving on to the front panel now, and we do have a USB 3 header, obviously, like I said, all blacked out, which is nice. Well, except for obviously the blue at the top there, but that's okay. Nice blacked out cable here as well, which is good to see. So this is a HD audio and the USB 2. So that's actually good that it's all kind of mounted onto one cable, so that's nice for cable management. And then basically we just have our normal front panel headers, like your LED switch. Oh, is that okay? I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work. That's one for LED switch. That's going to have to connect up somewhere on your motherboard probably. Maybe you connect that to the reset or something. I don't know. I don't know. You've got a reset switch here. You've got your power LEDs, and then you've got your power switch as well. So it looks like it doesn't have the hard drive LEDs, but again, that doesn't matter too much. No, sorry, it does have the hard drive, and this is your hard drive LED one as well. But yeah, you've got a separate one which says you've got a separate one for LED switch. So I'm not exactly sure where that's going to wire up, but anyway, we'll have to find out as we go along in the build. Okay. So that was a little bit odd. I had to kind of pull off the top there a little bit, but anyway. Yeah, getting that side panel off was a little bit odd. I just had to kind of pull it this way and then it came off, but there's no actual screws or anything, which is a little bit odd. So, again, like I said, inside it's micro ATX or it's ITX for the motherboard support. The standoffs are pre-installed, which is quite nice for 6 of them. But just be aware, if you've got a longer motherboard, it is going to come out. So if you've got a longer motherboard, you're going to have to be careful here. It only goes up to the 6. If you've got the longer micro ATX, which goes up to 8, then obviously you're going to be probably in a bit of trouble. So yeah. Obviously with these fish tank cases, you have the 2 which are on the inside here, your 2 ARGB fans which are inside, and then the 1 at the back here, instead of obviously the 2 at the front there. So yeah, a little bit different setup. And now let's have a look at the sort of the clearances for your GPU. Now I think pretty much you can get any GPU, any GPU you like up on here. Yeah, looking at the clearance there, I mean, what you got? I reckon 360 millimeters you got, or what is 14 inches or 36 centimeters. So yeah, really good clearance there actually. And if you've got very long graphics cards, you should be fine in this case. So don't worry about that. And then from the motherboard tray out to the for the CPU cooler, we've got about 170 millimeters there, I reckon, maybe 160 or 165 just to be sure. But yeah, we're actually pretty good there, clearance-wise. If you've got big CPU coolers and what have you. I mean, I won't be using a big CPU cooler for this one. I've got a bit of a smaller build in here just to kind of fit in, which will be fine. But clearance-wise, you have got a lot of clearance there. The only thing I will say about this case is that the cable management does look like it's going to be a bit of an issue, because having to kind of route your cables at the side here with the fans is going to be a little bit difficult, and having to get your cables under here when the power supply is there, again, going to be a little bit difficult as well. So this could be a little bit of a challenge for the cable management side, but we'll give it a go, I think, and it should come out okay. So I think really we've had enough talking, and let's get building. So here we are with the build, and basically we're just going to prep the case first of all. So let's just take off this annoying bracket. These have the snap out ones. We're going to have to do 2 and 3 because that's for our motherboard. Annoying snap off PCI slots, which is a bit of a downer. Install the motherboard I/O shield. Bit annoying with the fan at the back, but it should be okay. In fact, I'm just going to take out that fan, I think, temporarily. I do admit the camera angles are going to be a little bit funny here, guys, because this case is quite big and I haven't got a lot of space, so I do apologise for this. Alright, motherboard. So just screwing these in now. Obviously, you can see, guys. If you had a bigger motherboard here, you know, if it came out a bit further, you probably, you know, you'd be struggling a little bit here. But this motherboard is just about the right size for this, so it should be fine. All right, so let's move on to the power supply. So these cables are a bit in the way, but just move them out of the way. Right, so now we just need to feed the cables through. So that's this is our PCIe, our graphics card. So that will go at the bottom. Our CPU here. We just need to connect that to the CPU up through there. Fairly traditional sort of layout, if you will, in terms of, you know, where everything goes. So it should be fairly normal to you if you've built PCs before. We'll leave that for now, but we'll have to cable manage that. But anyway, it's fine. So let's move on to the SSD while we're here. We'll do that. So I think actually what we're going to do is just not sure if it'd be better going that way. Yeah, I think it'd probably be better going that way with the cables. Or I might put it at the end. So pretty easy, just screw it in from the other side to here. Now I am actually using M.2 anyway, but I'm just using this just to show you guys, and then I will actually use this for my final build, this SSD, rather than the other SSD that I've got. But yeah, just to show you guys. Now this is all going to be a bit difficult with the cables, and the only thing is I don't like about the fans being this side is that the cable's going to be a bit annoying. So we're just going to have to do our best with the cable management side. So what I'll probably do is all these excess cables that I don't need, I'll probably just have to shove down at the bottom here. So you can kind of use that hard drive bracket, if you will, and then just try and shove everything down a little bit. There you go, that's good enough. So this USB 3, this is going to have to go down that way. So again, cable management is going to get awkward here. Maybe I should have done this bit before I put the power supply in, but never mind. The USB 3 is actually at the bottom, so I've just fed that through. I'll just plug it in because it's just going to be easier. I'm sorry that you can't see that, but it's just a little bit awkward with the cables and stuff. This is the only thing with this, is a little bit awkward cable wise. So that LED switch can just go, we just don't need that. So all these cables just need to go down there. So yeah, let's just plug everything in, and we'll worry about the sort of cable mess afterwards, and we'll get there. So we've got far too much length on this one, but it'll be alright. Just feed that back down. Yeah, it's under. So that's fine. That fits quite well, that's fine. The front audio might be a little bit hard to actually get across there, but we'll give it a go. Yeah, a little bit more length on the front audio would be helpful, but we haven't got it, unfortunately. There you go. It's in. We got there. There we go. We're all fed through now, so it should just be the graphics card now. Okay. There we go, just a firm press. As you can see, loads and loads of room for the graphics card here, so we're all good. So we'll probably just cable tie that back, I think. Probably need to feed that cable just through, but anyway. Let's just stick that around it for now, and then we'll move on. So we've still got a bit of the back to sort out. So I don't know, this is always the thing I find with these fish tank cases, that the wires actually get in the way of where the fans are, which is really what I don't like. Well, we're going to have to cable tie those down, and then this is just, I don't know how we're going to do the fans, to be honest. We certainly need this out of the way. So we have our little device here for the ARGB header here. trying to see, make sure it goes all together. There you go, that goes on. So we'll have to connect that to a SATA cable here. I can sort out room to actually put it anyway, but it doesn't really matter, it can just sit there for now. We're going to need a fan, we're going to need to power the fans as well, so I have no idea how we're going to power the fans, because I don't know how we're going to reach to the fan header. There you go, got it. Here's the build, guys. What do you think? I think it's come out quite well. I mean, overall, you know, this case is a bit odd, I have to admit. I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, there are a few positives, but I think there's too many negatives for me personally. But, you know, I think the build has come out all right, first of all. Let me know what you think, obviously, in the comments and what have you. Quite a basic build here. We've got a Ryzen 3 3100. I think it's an A320 motherboard, and the GTX 1660 Super with 16 gigabytes of RAM, DDR4 RAM. So overall, you know, it's pretty okay spec. I mean, nothing special, but budget build obviously. But you know, we've got something decent here, and we will be flipping this PC as well, so we'll be selling this on. But yeah, this is the part where I say either a buy, yes for a buy, or no for a don't buy. And I basically give my kind of thoughts on the case overall. So this is the just to remind you guys, this is the iONZ Gamer ITX Flow. Obviously it says ITX, but it's for micro ATX motherboards as well as ITX motherboards. So yeah. Now overall, the build wasn't that great, if I'm being honest, and I haven't actually built in a fish tank style case before, and it was a bit more difficult than I actually thought it would be. Looking at it now, I should have routed the front panel cables before I put the power supply in. That would have really helped. Having to put them in once the power supply was in was a little bit fiddly. But we did get there in the end, and we did get the build together. And so that's good. I mean, we have, with the cable management, we had to kind of shove it all into the hard drive sort of cage or area, because obviously where the fans are, it's basically like a no-go area with cables, obviously, because you don't want to get them caught in a fan blade, obviously. So you can't really, at this side, you can't really put any cables. You have to kind of put all the cables from the power supply, which is at the bottom here, behind the motherboard tray, and then you have to put them all behind the actual motherboard itself, all the cables. And if you've got like a bigger non-modular power supply, then you're going to be in a bit more trouble, like I was. Now, I would really recommend you had a modular power supply for this build, actually, because that would make things a lot easier. But again, you can kind of cable stuff into the hard drive cage, so you can kind of get away with it a little bit. But yeah, a modular power supply would have been really nice with this build, but it is what it is. Overall, so I'll talk about the positives and then the negatives and give my overall. Positives were, it's a showcase case and it looks good, and obviously I only pay £40 for it, which I think is a really good price. Although at the full retail price of £55, I wouldn't actually purchase it personally. It does look really good as a showcase. Another great thing is the fans. I think the fans look really nice and really great. And I've also put that onto a remote control, the fans as well, so I can change these exact colours and what have you. So when I give that to the person who buys this case, obviously they'll be able to use that remote control. So overall, those are probably the biggest pluses, I think. The showcase PC, it looks great, and the fact that I only paid £40 for it. Now, again, like I say, if you can get it for £40, it's certainly worth a buy. But for the £55, I think there's too many cutbacks personally. So the cons are certainly the PCI slots. They're breakout ones, so they're non-replaceable. So be aware of that. If you're doing multiple builds in this case, it's probably not the best case for that. If you're doing a one-time build and then you're just going to keep it, then it's fine. But just be aware of that. You just have to plan your build out a little bit more, I think. The cable management space wasn't good enough at the back. I didn't like it personally. All the cables didn't quite line up. They didn't quite line up like you would with a standard case. Everything with a standard case, with the power supply straddled at the bottom and then the motherboard at the top, everything just goes together well, and I'm used to that kind of setup, and that's kind of what I was missing here, and I kind of really was out of place when I was doing the build. It really kind of threw me a little bit. Now, if you're more used to these sort of fish tank style cases or the dual chamber type cases, then it's fine. You can kind of get used to it. And for some people, it might actually be easier to do the build, but for me, I actually found it harder, and a traditional case would have been far easier to do the build in. So I wouldn't say there's too many other negatives. Overall, I mean, it does its purpose, and it is a decent enough case. The build quality, I think, in areas is a little bit suspect. It's a bit plasticky. I think certainly that front is plastic rather than glass as well. So that front bit here, I'm pretty sure that's glass. I'm pretty sure that's plastic rather than glass. But it is a tempered glass side panel, just so you know. But obviously, I've removed it here. But yeah. But overall, I'm personally going to say it's a no buy, down for me personally. I think at £55 it's too expensive. First of all, there's so many other better cases around that sort of £55 to £60 sort of range, which you can get, which are better. There's quite a lot of cases from Montech recently, which I've looked at, and they're really good. Some CIT cases are even pretty decent, around that sort of price or even lower. For me, it's not a budget case. It's a bit, £55 is still a little bit expensive for me. I know I'm a bit cheap, but still, at £55, I think there's options at £40 to £45 which are actually better than this, and I would actually go with that instead. And those cases still look pretty good as well. Okay, they might not do the whole showcase thing like this, but they're certainly more than good enough for a basic flip. So no, overall, I would actually avoid this case, but it has been interesting to actually do a build in it, and I have enjoyed actually getting a build up for you guys, and hopefully you will like this video because it's going to be quite a long video. But yeah, again, just please like the video for the algorithm, obviously. Please subscribe to see my future videos, and as always, guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.